All right, good evening and welcome to the Planning Commission of the City of Moreno Valley. I now call this meeting to order on October 12, 2023 at exactly 6 p.m. May we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Gonzalez has an excused absence. Commissioner Terrell,
Here.
Commissioner Baker,
Here.
Commissioner Zeitz,
Here.
Commissioner Stefan,
Here.
Commissioner Taylor,
Here.
Vice Chairperson Cobian,
Here.
Chairperson Dejanay.
Here. Commissioner Taylor will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. We're now going to move to the approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion and a second?
I'll move to accept the agenda as submitted.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second.
Commissioner Taylor, we'll need you to vote in.
All right, the motion carries. All right, this evening, before we hear public comments this evening, I ask and encourage everyone participating to keep their comments respectful towards others, especially towards individuals speaking. I embrace and support the First Amendment right to free speech, including everyone's right to speak at this meeting and share his or her views about issues concerning our city. But we can accomplish more as a city and more as private citizens by being civil and respectful towards one another in this meeting. During the public comment period for each item, as well as during the public comment period for items not on the agenda, each member of the public who has signed up to speak will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak. Any person wishing to address the commission on any matter, either under the public comment section of the agenda or scheduled items or public hearings, must fill out a request to speak form available at the door. The completed form must be submitted to the secretary prior to the agenda item being called by the chairperson. In speaking to the commission, members of the public may be limited to 3 minutes per person except for the applicant for entitlement. The commission may establish an overall time limit for comments on a particular agenda item. Members of the public must direct their questions to the chairperson of the commission and not to other members of the commission, the applicant, the staff, or audience. The next item is public comments on any item not on the agenda. Are there any speakers?
No speakers.
Non-agenda items.
Hang on just one second. We're going to get you registered in. And
Okay. Luis Palomares, community activist. I'm here today to talk about the commissioners. Wow, we got 3 new commissioners, and congrats, Daryl Terrell, because I wasn't here when this is the first meeting I've been at. Okay, we got sites here. Okay. Last time we were talking about, I think one of the first, second meetings about a Christmas tree lot. Lindsay said he's got all the qualifications to do this, do that. Oh, he knows it all. Okay. But why were we worrying about a darn Christmas tree lot? Because they're going to put a building or a hotel, something on that end. You were worrying more about the Christmas tree lot than you were worrying about the Hillwood project. That could have brought a lot of jobs, revenue. It could have brought a sports arena for students. It could have brought a baseball diamond, soccer fields. They were going to put a youth center there. They were going to even maintain it. We wouldn't even have to mow the lawn. They were going to give the city $30 million. $30 million. But you sites that's so smart and knows what you're doing, you were more worried about a Christmas tree lot. Are you serious? That's a lot of money we could have had over there on the East End. Because the East End or some of your friends didn't want it there. Wow, what are we gonna put there now? The developer's gonna put something there. So we send them packing with $30 million, tax revenue, jobs, 4 soccer fields, a baseball diamond, etc., a youth center for our kids. Weren't you worrying about that? It's ironic, a Christmas tree lot. Right there by the pumpkin field where they sell the pumpkins also, that's what you were more worried about. But you were here bashing and crying, and we can't have that there because it's not zoned for that. It's not zoned for that. Come on. You're smart, wow. But now you're on there, so it's a whole different ballgame. You can't come over here and yell and say, oh, it's not the best thing for our city. Come on. Okay, now the other guy, Gonzalez, that's supposed to have all the smarts too. He's a big realtor, yada, yada. He's got all the credentials. Well, if he was a realtor, he would have liked that to come, because when all that comes, jobs come with it. We could have things for our youth, our kids, even the district. Dr. K was going to get $1 out of it. Look what's happening in our district. I've been there several times talking for the last 2 years, talking about all the corruption and everything. Look at where lawsuits, Diego, this sexual harassment lawsuit from the 90s. This is the swamp they've been running over there. Shame. And Gonzalez knows it all. Wow. Are they grooming him for the next seat for District 3? I'm wondering, because all he said up there in his first opening statement, congrats and all that, he said, that was his whole vocabulary. That was 26 arms I counted. 26 of them. Wow, what a smart guy. Come on.
Thank you.
Thanks, Daryl. Being with the right people.
Are there any other speakers?
No other speakers.
Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is the approval of the consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendars are considered to be routine and non-controversial and may be enacted by a motion unless a member of the commission requests that the item be removed for separate action. Items withdrawn for the report or discussion will be heard after the public hearing items. Questions or comments from the public on the consent calendar matter are limited to 3 minutes per individual and must pertain to the subject under consideration. At this time, would any commissioner like to pull an item from the consent calendar for a separate vote or comment? No? Okay. All right. Do we have any public comments for items on the consent calendar?
We do not have any comments.
Okay. Do we have a motion, a second for the consent calendar?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent calendar.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Okay, the motion carries. The next item on the agenda is non-public hearing items, and at this time, we have no items. So moving to the next item on the agenda is the consideration of a public hearing item. Item number 1, the applicant is requesting approval of tentative parcel map number 38667 to subdivide 887.3 acres of land into 14 number parcels and 80 lettered lots for public streets, private driveways, landscape, and access. Do we have a staff report?
Thank you, Chair. This item is a continued item from our previous Planning Commission meeting, and the presentation this evening will be made by Contract Planner Kurt Corey.
Thank you, Sean. Mr. Chairman, members of the commission, Highland Fairview requests approval of tentative parcel map number 38667 for the subdivision of 887.3 acres excuse me, of land into 14 numbered parcels for future development and 80 lettered lots for public streets, driveways, private driveways, access, and landscape improvements. By way of background, the city entered into a development agreement in 2020 regarding the development of the World Logistics Center, which contemplated the improvement of the subject property for purposes of completing the structures, improvements, and facilities composing the development and operation of the property and the subdivision of the subject property. The project site is part of the World Logistics Center specific plan and is generally located east of Redlands Boulevard, south of the 60 freeway, west of Gilman Springs Road, and north of the San Jacinto Wildlife Area. Surrounding properties and development are located within a mix of residential, commercial, industrial, and open space districts. As noted, tentative parcel map number 38667 is for the subdivision of 887.3 acres of land into 14 numbered parcels and 80 lettered lots for future development and improvements. Environmental clearance and analysis for the proposed application is provided by the revised final environmental impact report for the World Logistics Center. Staff has coordinated with outside agencies where applicable and has reviewed the proposed project. All departments and agencies have conditioned the project accordingly. With that, staff recommends approval of the project. I know that the applicant is in the audience, and the applicant and staff are available for the commission should they have any questions. That concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you. Do we have any commissioner questions for staff? Yeah, so, okay. All right, at this time.
Based on what I read, it seems like that it meets all the requirements of the California Subdivision Public Act. Am I correct in saying that?
The proposed project meets all of the provisions of the, of the MAP Act. You spun me with the way you said it. Yes, it does comply with the MAP Act as well as our municipal code and all specific plan standards that are relevant to this entitlement.
Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Any other commissioner questions? Okay, at this time, would the applicant like to speak?
Good evening. Shea Michael Ante with Highland Fairview, Senior Project Manager. At this time, I only want to say thank you to the chairperson and commissioners for reviewing our project and giving us your time and attention. We look forward to serving Moreno Valley.
Thank you. All right, hang on just for a second.
Not a problem.
Are there any commissioner questions for the applicant?
Now, this is going to be done in phases, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And once everything's done, is that when occupancy will be taking place as things are going on?
The project is planning the phase, and in each phase there will be a building or 2 buildings or 3 buildings constructed according to the phase. And then each building will seek for a certificate of occupancy pursuant to the municipal code. And once that is granted, then the building will become occupied.
Okay.
When do you foresee the start of your first building?
Fingers crossed, sometime next year.
I was just wondering if all the road improvements will be done by the time the occupancy of the buildings will be.
Each public infrastructure will be improved pursuant to the phase that it's part of. So if we're only building one little portion of a building, that street frontage will be improved pursuant to municipal code and the conditions of approval of the map.
But basically, it's almost like a track, and they go in phases, and as they're
Exactly.
going, they're doing the streets and then everything else.
Yeah, that's correct. We're not going to build all of the roads out at one time. They're going to be done in phases along with the map.
Okay.
Question with the lawsuit that came up from Sierra Club. There were certain stipulations that had to be met before anything could be started on those. Have those stipulations all been met?
All the stipulations pursuant to the settlement agreement, I cannot comment on because I don't know the settlement agreement. But all the items that are required for us to meet our conditions to develop have been met.
And then on your map, there's a little niche out for right off, I think it's close to eucalyptus?
On the west side of the property off of Redlands?
Yeah.
Yes.
What is the purpose of that little niche?
We don't own that property.
You don't own that property, okay.
So it's not part of the map.
No, that makes perfect sense, makes perfect sense.
They're only laying out what they own.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Not a problem.
Okay, another question. If you don't own that section, then what's gonna happen to the street? Then, the rendering from what I've seen on your proposal was that Redlands is gonna be developed all the way to the freeway, basically almost from, I don't even know what that street is, but, so what are you gonna do with that section then?
Well, that piece of property is that property owner's
Okay.
street frontage. That's not within our means to develop. It would be the property owner's rights to develop. Our project will meet all screening requirements set forth in the specific plan and the settlement agreement, and everything will be done to meet the public's needs and requirements to the fullest extent possible.
I'm just trying to understand how Redlands is gonna look. I mean, it's gonna be pieced. There's gonna be a big open spot. You can have a sidewalk with rendering, and then it's gonna stop and then start up again right after on the other side of that. Isn't that street part of the city though? Isn't that a city requirement? Well, I'll ask staff on that. Thank you.
Yeah, not a problem.
Okay, any other commissioner questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, we will now open public testimony. The clerk will call upon each person who has requested to speak. Each member of the public wishing to speak will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak on the public hearing item. Do we have any public speakers?
Yes, Mrs. Palomares, followed by Mr. Palomares.
Wow, Luis Palomares, community activist. What, 7, 8 years later, finally, we're gonna get this going, finally. We were out there collecting signatures years ago, 17,000 signatures, because the Dirty Dozen, the Deanna Readers, and et cetera, and even sites, they were here saying, oh, we don't want it on the East End. We're all gonna die, yada, 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 and all the bull crap. So, hey, they were in court in litigation for 7, 8 years. Finally, we're gonna get it here. Thank God. We were there when they broke the dirt for Skechers. We're the one that helped make that building come here. We collected the signatures. In the meanwhile, Riverside, that always has their tentacles here, you know, wow, always has their hand in the, I better not say that, but anyway, nevertheless, all that time they were building all the Meridian, all those buildings there. Those could have been some of our tax, our money, just like they annexed over on the other side of Day Street on the 11th hour where the whole council was years ago. Gave it to them, not even paid $1 for it, I don't think. So finally we're gonna get this that we've been waiting for. Finally, thank God. Okay, now we have the Hillwood project that wanted to come here. That's the only building that could have went there. What else are gonna build, a prison? What else? Oh, it's zoned for housing, come on. They were gonna do so much and put a big berm and do all this, but Sites came and his little group, Sims, it was December, I forget what year, 2 years ago, and they came, D-Day, a lot of them filled the room talking all the nonsense, him and his little group, the Sierra people, don't bring nothing, sue us and we'll go away. But saying all that, the last time they came and brought it, they came with, we're gonna give you $30 million. We're gonna give you a sports park. We're gonna give, et cetera, et cetera. And COVID said, oh, if they do all that, it'd be great. It'll be great. But our phony baloney lying mayor, the boy on the council, yes, he voted against it. But he's so in bed, or wait a minute, I'll slash that. He's so in cahoots with the superintendent over there. The superintendent over there. Wow, that could have been for our kids. All those dollars. It's a darn shame. So finally, amen. Thank you, Lord, that we're going to get this. I know the staff has worked hard. I know the community has worked hard. I know we've had the monkey ranches in here like Sites and his little team, the Sierra Club. Finally, we're going to get it going. We're going to break dirt. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next
other-
speaker is Mr. Palomares. No other speakers.
All right, thank you. Would the applicant like to provide additional information? All right, thank you. All right, at this time, there's no more speakers for the public testimony. Then we will close the public testimony and move into deliberations or a motion in a second.
I would like to provide some comments.
Okay.
I just want to say, I want to thank the developer for taking another chance on this community with this. I want to thank the staff for your hard work and the people in the community and the folks up here. You know, it's been a long road, like Ms. Palomares says. It's been a long road. Now, both sides have come together and putting their differences aside to do what's best for this community. We have to make this project work. Of all the projects that comes up here before this esteemed body, our whole purpose to make sure it works. We don't want to see this project to fail. And as this project continues to go down this road, it's the first step of many steps, we will be doing something great for the community, in my opinion. I believe in creating jobs for the people, for the masses in this community that will bring hope and opportunity to many people out there. Also, it will bring revenue to what we need the most, to our fire department out there, and to our public safety, to our police department. We need police, but also to our Parks and Recs programs. But that's the whole part of Moreno Valley. This community has always been about people who dream about a brighter tomorrow. So with this step forward, we continue with the progress in creating the jobs and also working together, every entity in this city, from the city to the school district to the college, we could bring economic mobility to this community. So folks can, not folks, but residents can have opportunity to move up that ladder, to live their American dream, to buy that first home, to have their kids, when they go off to college, they could come back and work in the facility, because we don't know exactly what's going there. But if we do it right, this is our chance to do it right, to all of us working together, every entity in this community working together to create opportunity, also hope, and careers that you can raise, like it's, again, raise your family. That's what this project is all about. It's about hope. And I know, again, it was a long, hard road, but we got to put our differences aside and make this project work to bring the revenue that the city needs and bring hope to the people in this community. Because I was one of those folks up there at Skechers too. Because during the darkest time of this community, one company, one developer decided to take a chance on this community. And I thank him for that. And that's what needs to happen. We need more investors in this community, like Highland Fairview, other investors too, just like them, so we can create the future that we want to see for our children. And I want to continue, as long as I'm on this esteemed board, to fight for the right for folks to live to live their American dream, to build that bridge for a brighter tomorrow, for every kid to have a chance to live in this community, every parent that can live here, buy a house, and continue with generations after generations. I want to thank the staff for your hard work because it wasn't easy. I want to thank the people on both sides for coming together to move this community forward. That's all I have to say. Thank you to all of you guys. Thank you.
Well, next, I would like to say that it's been a long time coming. I've always liked the fact that this developer has always brought in the innovation that is needed. He thinks beyond. Sometimes some developers just come in and do the minimal. He has always gone even years forward. The last building, it was Gold LEED certified. He didn't have to do that, but he did it. But he is working with sustainable energy and sustainable things that other developers I wish would do. But, you know, this is just the beginning, and like Daryl said, I can see it's the future of Moreno Valley. And it's really a shame that it did get tied up in litigation for so long. I'm gonna just go ahead and, you know, put in to adopt the resolution. Anybody else wants to second that? Because I'm gonna adopt resolution number 2023-42.
Give the other commissioners a chance to comment
Okay?
before we get a resolution.
Chair, we can take a resolution at any time,
Yeah.
or a request for a resolution. A second can occur and deliberation can continue.
Okay.
So that is perfectly fine. Additionally, alternative motions could be made if so desired by any of the members as well. Just a point of clarification.
All right.
So I'll second that.
A motion and a second. All right. We'll go with a vote. All right, the motion carries. Do we have a staff wrap-up?
The action of the Planning Commission is an appealable action. Anyone wishing to appeal the decision of the commission must do so by filing an appeal with the Community Development Director and paying the applicable filing fee within 10 calendar days. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, item number 2 on the agenda. The applicant has requested a tentative tract map number 38264 to subdivide approximately 18.36 net acres into 55 residential lots, private streets, and a conditional use permit for a planned unit development for 55 single-family lots, including park areas, common parking, and a variance for wall heights within the residential 3 district. Do we have a staff report?
First, I want to just real quick note, the way that the motion was just made was perfectly fine. I just want to make that note for the record, that was perfectly fine, the way that Commissioner Stefan did so. And this evening's presentation will be made by Associate Planner Gabriel Diaz.
Thank you.
Thank you, Sean. Thank you, Chairman and Commissioners. The applicant is requesting the approval of a conditional use permit for a planned unit development, PUD, and tentative tract number 38264 to subdivide approximately 18.36 net acres into 55 single-family residential lots with private streets and a variance for wall heights. The project is located at the southeast corner of Cottonwood Avenue and Quincy Street. The project is zoned R3 Residential 3 and is currently vacant. Surrounding the project to the north is existing single-family homes zoned Residential Agricultural 2, RA2. To the east are existing single-family homes zoned R3. Directly to the west is the Quincy Channel and existing single-family homes zoned R3. And to the south is vacant land and a couple single-family homes also zoned R3. site plan and track map. The project proposes the PUD and track map with 55 residential lots. Access is provided from 2 access points, one off to the north on Cottonwood Avenue and the other from the south on Bay Avenue. On the east is Belmont Parkway, and there's an emergency access point there. The PUD will establish criteria for setbacks, unique criteria for setbacks, lot width, and lot size. The flexible development standards are allowed within a PUD in exchange for higher level of detail and amenities within the project. The added amenities include a community park, a neighborhood park, and a trail along the Quincy Channel. The residential lots range in size from 8,400 square feet to 18,123 square feet. Internally, the streets will be privately owned and maintained and will provide a total of approximately 208 on-street parking spaces. This is the proposed wall variance. On the east is proposes a 4.67 foot high retaining wall with a 6 foot high wall on top of it for a total height of 10.67 feet adjacent to the existing single family development to the east. This is within newly created lots 1, 2, and 3. On the western part of the project, along lot 49, adjacent to Internal Street G, the variance is for a combination 10-foot high retaining and non-retaining wall. These are the red marks on that site plan. The variance is being requested because the existing grade change on the site falls approximately 25 feet from the northeast to the southwest, and the project is surrounded by existing development on all 4 sides, which establishes the grades that cannot be modified. The project proposes 1 and 2 story homes with 4 different floor plans and 4 different architectural styles. The architectural styles are farmhouse, Spanish, French, and Tuscan. Exterior designs will include stucco, varied siding finishes, stone and brick veneers, multi-level roofs, and roof colors based on the elevations. Metal and wood railings, flower boxes, decorative windows and doors, front porches, architecturally enhanced garage doors will be provided along with the earth tones color scheme. The project has been designed and conditioned to meet the city's landscape standards and includes a 23,870 square foot community park, a 15,858 square foot neighborhood park, and a trail along the Quincy Channel and required street trees. Park amenities include a park pavilion, shade structure, picnic tables and barbecue grills, children's playground, lawn areas, seating areas with benches, bike racks, accessible path of travel, and enhanced landscape walkways. Environmentally, the project has been evaluated in compliance with the criteria set forth in the California Environmental Quality Act. Initial study mitigated negative declaration with a mitigated monitoring and reporting program has been completed for the project. Staff recommends that the Planning Commission approve conditional use permit PEN 22-0014 and tentative track map number 38264, project case number PEN 22-0013, and variance application PEN 23-0013, subject to the conditions of approval. We did receive 1 public comment this evening, a letter from Riverside County Flood Control, and this was provided to you prior to the meeting. And just for the record, this is basically the same letter that is part of the staff report under public comments to the environmental. This concludes staff's presentation. Thank you. Any questions? And the applicant is here for additional questions and would like to provide a PowerPoint. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any commissioner questions for staff? No? All right, would the applicant like to speak?
Good evening, Honorable Chair, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Selena Kelleher, and Pacifica Investments is excited to bring the Cottonwood Collection community here to the city of Moreno Valley. I'd like tonight to just take some time to highlight some of the key design features that we feel make this a quality project that we're bringing forward to the community and make it a high-quality residential project for the future residents. I'd like to thank staff for their time tonight and their great presentation, and I'm sorry for any repetition and how that goes. They did a really good job. But some of the features that I just wanted to talk us through was the fact that the project has 2 publicly accessible parks, one over a half an acre and one approximately a quarter acre in size. In addition, we feel that it's important to bring green building features to all of our residential projects here, and want to highlight that the project will be built to meet Cal Green standards and Title 24 standards. It will include low flow plumbing fixtures, low VOC paints on both the exterior and interior of the homes. And the future homeowners will be able to plug in their EV chargers in our charging cars in our EV compliant charging stations and garages. In addition, our project provides parking in excess of the city's standards. There will be a 2-car garage minimum with a 3-car garage option, should a homeowner choose that, in addition to 2 driveway spaces and over 200 on-street parking spaces throughout the community. Again, there are 4 architectural styles proposed: Tuscan, farmhouse, Spanish, and French. In addition, there are 4 floor plan variety types of 1- and 2-story homes, ranging from approximately 2,800 to 4,000 square feet. The bedroom counts range from 3 to 5 bedrooms, 2 to 3.5 baths, and then an optional 2 to 3-car garage. There's also options for customization in the homes. Homeowners could choose to opt for a loft, a den, or that 3rd tandem car parking spot should they wish, depending on the floor plan that they purchase. And here we just again wanted to highlight the publicly accessible parks that the project's proposing. There's a community park at the north end of the site along Cottonwood Avenue. Some of the amenities within the park are a pavilion shade structure, picnic tables and benches, barbecues. You'll see the children play area in the center. There'll be meandering sidewalks throughout this area and a multi-purpose lawn. If one were then to take the trail that's along the Quincy Channel South, you would run into the neighborhood park. This area would be a multi-purpose lawn, multiple bench and seating areas, meandering sidewalks. It would be landscaped with shade trees and flowering shrubs and plants. And it would be a place that residents could utilize to take their family and or meet up with their fellow and nearby residents. We also wanted to highlight some of the community outreach efforts that we've done for this project. We feel community outreach is very important to be part of the community. As part of those efforts, we drafted a project informational mailer about the project, highlighting many of the things that I've highlighted before you tonight about the project location, the number of units, the square footages and architectural styles. We also created a project-specific email address and included that within the mailer. We mailed that letter out to homeowners within the vicinity of the project site and also let them know within that letter that we would be out in the neighborhood on 3 days knocking on doors. That way, if they wanted to meet with us, they could schedule an appointment or just engage with us through that email address that we created. So again, we went out to the neighborhood and knocked on doors in the vicinity of the project site on 3 separate days. We were able to engage with over half of the residents near the project site and also received 7 letters of support for the project that were included as part of your agenda packet. And with that, again, I just wanted to thank the commission for their time. Thanks staff so much for your time in getting us here tonight and all your hard work, and to let you know that any members of the design team are also here for any questions that you may have.
Thank you. Are there any commissioner questions for the applicant?
Is this going to be a gated community?
Commissioner, there are no gates proposed for this.
My second question is, when you went door to door, was there any opposition to the project from the surrounding residents?
No, generally, most of the residents were just happy that we were there knocking on doors. For some residents didn't answer doors. We found out Moreno Valley is a very active community. There were a lot of people out at taking their kids probably to sporting events or whatever it may be. For those cases that we weren't able to reach them, we did leave a letter saying, hey, we were here. Here's our email address. Again, the project information. If you want to reach out, please do.
So is this an HOA?
Yes.
Okay, and that they are privately owned streets?
Correct.
And I know there's 208 parking spaces besides the garage spaces that they're gonna have. I just have a kind of like a bad feeling sometimes because we've got these tow companies that go in there. They're kind of predatory. And a lot of these people that park out in the street, they usually get towed. Are they gonna have to have some sort of sticker on their windows if they're visiting, or?
I don't know that we've addressed that yet, and we can look at it through our CC&Rs on including a parking sticker for homeowners.
Well, that's not really the point, because if you don't have one and you're visiting, sometimes you go in there and then you're towed right away. I mean, my grandson went to his mother's place, and he just went in to get something. When he came out, his car was gone. I mean, they don't really give you time. So I don't know. You know, they've been having a lot of bad things to say about this one tow company, which is Pepe's Towing. And he's kind of like predatory with that. You know, he doesn't really care about anybody else except for the dollar. So I don't know if anything can be done about that. But especially since there are no gates. That means he can go in there at will. I was just kind of concerned with that myself. So I don't know if you want to see about addressing it.
Okay, noted. Thank you. We'll be aware of that.
I have a, and I don't even, I'm not sure if it's exactly for you or for staff. The two entrances you have a center divider in the beginning of it. I reviewed the landscape plan. I don't see nothing, but I see that's like a green center divider. What is going to be in that? Do you, I mean, not that you know, but can staff help me out with that as well? Because there's no landscaping, there's nothing. So what is it going to be in the middle of that? Because that's your entrance to your community on both sides. And I just can't make to see what that's going to be. Don't know if staff has it. None of the plans show anything. No landscaping in the middle, no bush, no nothing.
So again, these are conceptual landscape plans at this point. I mean, that they were included for, you know, informational purposes at this point.
Okay.
We'll look at the sizing and spacing, but what I will assume is it'll be likely ground covers, depending on the width, potentially shrubs as well. Highly unlikely to be trees, though, just given the potential for damage to the streets and everything else, given the fact that it's a very small landscape finger, or a very small median area.
Okay. And then it's a little shaded different, just confirming that sidewalk's gonna go all the way over past that channel into that existing ADA ramp right there in the corner of Cottonwood and Quincy.
I'll refer that to our Public Works team.
The EV charging, is that something they have to request for an upgrade, or is that like a standard 240 plug?
Standard.
Standard. Oh, wow. Okay. Wow, I love it.
Good evening, Commissioner Cobian. Could you clarify the location of your question, or where we're interested
Yeah,
in the
I,
sidewalk.
maybe I'm looking at the wrong set of plan, but the one of the plans that I see, the sidewalk looks, hold on, like it's not, I'm not, just confirming the sidewalk does reach Quincy past the channel. It sort of shows that, but and then it, just confirming that the existing sidewalk that past the park is gonna continue past that little channel part and tie into the ADA section that's there existing.
Yes, the plan does show that. It's packet, page number, I believe it's 36. It shows sidewalk along Bay Avenue, going past the proposed detention basin there, or water quality basin, all the way up across Quincy Street, and then up to the adjacent street on the other side of Quincy.
And the same thing from Cottonwood and Quincy, right? That corner, Cottonwood and Quincy.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Back to referring to the parking for visitors section, that if a visitor happens to come in and he parks, he doesn't need a permit or have to run it. So a lot of things are that way in trailer parks and stuff. It's just a thought that you guys may want to consider if it goes to.
So these are conventional. These are standard streets. These meet our street standards for on-street parking. For a traditional, local street, and then they'll also, all of these properties are much larger than I think the homes that you have, the lots you've seen as of late when it comes to planned unit developments. Ultimately, this overall development is being built at a residential 3 density, so 3 units to the acre is actually the overall density of this site and this development. The lots are a little bit smaller than, what you see in other R3, properties in terms of actual, traditional development standards, but they've supplemented that through the incorporation of the parks, the additional, improvements along Quincy Channel that they're doing, and those types of things. So in terms of, parking and access, ultimately this would be, even though they're private streets, it'd be no different than any other conventional track, because it is a conventional track.
And then my next statement is on end of Quincy Channel down by Bay Avenue. Will there be a per se signage or whatever for like I'm going to call it a crosswalk to be anything else for the end of the channel to come by? Is that all set up that you guys will put in there? Since you are doing the street improvements, would you also include?
To the south?
Yes. Where it crosses over, they're actually going to put a bridge in, I believe.
They will have to bridge Quincy Channel at Bay.
Right, and then, but going straight south, the trail is probably proposed to go on through there eventually as the development goes down. So crossing Bay Avenue, I just want to make sure that there's a clear run for the trail to go across the street.
So that is part of our master plan trails system. So ultimately, any improvements south will be associated with.
Right.
I'll ask Public Works to confirm, but I do not believe that we would put in a crosswalk today. And the reason behind that is because ultimately it is something that is leading to, we don't want to direct somebody to a point where there is no improvements at this point.
Okay.
So.
Thank you.
Correct.
In the future, when the south side of the street develops, you'll have your crosswalk. You can ask it of that development.
Any other questions for the applicant? All right, well, thank you. All right, at this time, we will now open the public testimony. The clerk will call upon each person who has requested to speak. Each member of the public wishing to speak will have a maximum of 3 minutes to speak on the public hearing item. Do we have any public comments?
Yes, we have 2 speakers, Ms. Louise Palomares, followed by Bob Palomares.
Louise Palomares, city activist. Okay, here we go. I want to know, how much are the HMOs going to be? Do you have an answer, the developer? Okay. I want to know How much are these houses gonna cost? Do we got an answer? I'm just curious. Okay, now on another question. As far as CCRs, who's gonna, they said something about managing the parking. Who's gonna manage the parking? Are we gonna be able to, because my daughter wants to buy a home out there, so are we gonna be able to be on the streets without being towed in? Without having this little sticker or something on that car? That's what I want to know. And that question, maybe the commissioners could ask that. Also, as far as private street, what does a private street mean? Are we going to have a street sweeper on that street? Or they're going to pay for it, the people that are going to buy those houses? If something goes wrong, a flood over there, and the street comes up, or something messes up with the street, who's going to pay for that? The private street. As far as potholes and stuff like that, who's going to pay for that? A private street. If somebody hits a hydrant, fire hydrant out there, who's going to pay for that? Those are questions that I'm asking. I don't know if the commissioners know that. Because private street, so let me say, so it's a private street, so the people there are going to pay for all this. Let's just say that, I don't know the answer. So, as far as, but the tow trucks go in there, depending how the parking goes, on the street, and tow in the cars, and then we got to go to the city and pay $1 to get a release so we can get our car for wherever they towed them. So those are questions that, are there any answers in there? Those are what I'm asking. Otherwise, on another note, I support the project. I think it's a good project. We need housing. Bring it on. And not only that, they're good-sized lots and good-sized houses, because we know families have to live together. I mean, I'm not going to have 2 kids and me and my husband and buy a 4,000 square foot home. You know more than one family is going to live in that house. That's the way it is. My grandkids, they've been to the military, they've been to college, they got their masters. They can't buy a house here. They're living with parents to pay their car payments. They can't afford a $2,000 apartment for a 1-bedroom apartment. So families are living together. That's the wave of the future. So that's why these houses are so big. I think they start at 25,000 square foot, all of the cars in there. And we're going to have more than one family in those houses. So these are the questions, the hard questions.
Thank you. Do we have any other speakers?
Bob Palomares.
Good evening, Planning Commissioners. I think this is a wonderful project. I like, the choice of homes that you have. And 200 parking spaces, 2 parking garages, so on the perimeter outside of the complex, will there be parking on the perimeter on the outside, or will that be red curbs? Because I don't know exactly how many parking spaces there will be for visitors, but sometimes that's where it gets a little sticky, especially on holidays if you have people coming over and there's not enough parking. And then if you've got to go to the outside perimeter, if there's going to be parking on the outside, just putting kind of the worst scenario of having, a lot of people visiting, and make sure you have the parking, because that always seems to have been a problem with large planned developments. The parking seems to always be a sticking point. But it's a beautiful project, and I know you guys do your due diligence and look over everything real good. So just looking at it, I think it's wonderful. And of course, we need homes, the more the better. It's just that we got to make sure that everything's in place, so as time goes on, there's no problems. And then when it comes to the concern, like Ms. Steppen said about the predatory tow companies, I think they have to have permission from the HOA, and there has to be signage stating that, you're parked here illegally, or if you're not a resident, they will tow your car away. But there are some that they'll come in and try to do it anyway. But it's wonderful, so I think it's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers?
No other speakers.
Can I just respond to a few items?
Sure.
Okay. Because I'm assuming that at least one commissioner is going to want to ask them anyway, so I might as well just jump on in. All right, so parking requirements in the HOA. Ultimately, it is up to the HOA whether or not they want to mandate permitted parking or not. That is something that they can decide. It is not something that we can mandate or restrict. So so I'll start with that one. In terms of the private streets, yes, these are private streets. They will be homeowner maintained. That will be the responsibility of the HOA. That's why that is part of the reason they're creating an HOA. The HOA will also be responsible for maintaining both of the park facilities as well as other items that the developer may identify. With regard to the flood control channel and the overall site design, ultimately the site has been designed to ensure that it meets the requirements of the state of California and FEMA with regards to flooding, to ensure that the water stays where it needs to stay and it doesn't impact the homes. So that is part of the design. That was taken into consideration when designing the project. With regard to various maintenance items such as fire hydrants, I'll defer that one to our public works staff to address, as well as the question of whether or not parking is permitted on Bay Avenue, Quincy Street, and Cottonwood. I'll defer that to them as well.
Okay. All right. Would the applicant like to provide any additional information? No? Okay. All right, at this time, there are no more speakers on the public testimony. Then we'll close the public testimony and move into deliberations or a motion and a second for the item.
Just in all fairness, we did meet with the developer ahead of time on this. Very nice project. I do like the way that they have several different options for houses. It's not the typical cookie cutter neighborhood. During that time we talked about streetlights. I did go back and look at the neighborhood and around it, and it has standard streetlights, so there's not a problem there with me. I just think it's a very nice project. It fits into the neighborhood like it should. It's not something that's being forced or changed. The developer has done a very nice job in coming in with some beautiful homes, and it's going to enhance the area. And as the question that maybe came up on the podium, that if somebody runs into a fire hydrant, I hope they have insurance to cover that. Thank you.
And to clarify that point, it will either be the homeowners association or EMWD based off of how those facilities end up getting installed in the site. They may be publicly maintained, they may be privately maintained. That will be between the developer and Eastern Municipal Water District. The city will not be party to that.
I understand maintenance will fall on them, but somebody runs into it, they're going to have to pay for it.
Okay, when I did ask that question about the parking, I kind of was thinking more on the lines of an apartment complex or even a mobile home park, but this is going to be a residential. So it's like Sunnymead Ranch. That's residential. It's an HOA. And they do have street parking. So, and they have garages. So hopefully the developer will, as we can't tell them what to do, like Sean said, and we can't obligate them, but since it is residential, hopefully they won't have where they need permits, because people will come and visit, family will come for birthdays and things like that. So when I did ask that question, I wanted to clarify, I was thinking more on the lines of apartment and mobile home, because I got towed. So I was kind of curious to that, but I just kind of just went above my head that it is a residential tract. And even though it is an HOA, like I said, Sunnymead Ranch is also HOA, and it is residential, and they don't have, where they need permits. So that's all I want to say. And it's a beautiful tract. If I did have my home for 40 years, I might think of moving, but I live on half acre myself. So It's a beautiful, beautiful track. We haven't had one like this in a long, long time. So it's good to go on my agenda here.
There's two things that are driving up the cost of housing. Number one is legislation, and number two, there's not enough homes. And I just think that this home project is amazing. We need more homes in the city, and so if we can get a developer to come in and build homes like these at an affordable cost, I think it's great for the city.
I think the project looks great. I mean, it's gonna fit in that spot. Definitely, it's gonna fit perfect amongst those homes, to the left, right, and across all around. I live near this project. There's another empty lot on Dracia and Redlands that would look perfect for this too. If you guys wanna go check it out, that's an infill spot too. That would look perfect, but the size homes, the size lots, it's gonna fit perfect with the Belmont Parkway homes and the homes adjacent on Prancer and down Wilmont Street. So I like this project.
I also think that it's fantastic. It fits perfect. You know, with the California Water Conservation Act, and you're coming in with all. I didn't ask about solar, but I imagine all new buildings now coming in have to have solar. Also, wow, we're thinking about EVs. I just bought my home and I don't have the. Never mind. Had to get it installed myself. So I think it's wonderful that we're thinking ahead. We're thinking to the future. We're putting in, this is that that square peg that fits in the square slot here, actually. So I think it's fantastic.
I wanted to say too, I did meet with the developer and the staff member. This is, it's awesome. I love it because of the fact that it's not a one size fit all project, which I love because it has flexibility and choice. And it's what all my colleagues up here have talked about, and folks, I mean, I keep saying folks, but that's how I speak, but residents out there that want a downsize of their homes. And this fits perfectly because of the fact this is like a village. And that's something what we need in our community is a new sense of community. And this project fits that, it symbolizes that new sense of community because of the added amenities of the community park, the neighborhood park, which is inviting and welcoming people. Hey, we want to be part of the community. We want you to be part. And the fact that the development team went out there and talked to the people to get their input. And also, too, when I learned at that one-on-one meeting I had, it's about that wall and the variance. I didn't understand, but they made it perfectly clear. It's like the staff have made staff reports more readable and more layman so I could understand it. And it showed this how the elevation of this one house is up here and the one down here and in the little wall here, and it's like someone could look down into it. It's about privacy and neighborly to have that variance so the wall could be up so a person down here can have their privacy. And they think and they socially conscious thinking about their neighbors. And I like that part of it. And also, I like the fact that there's going to be a bridge. It's going to be connecting Bay Avenue. And so people could go through Bay Avenue. Also, I want to also mention that the different types of styles of homes you have there. The Tuscan and the Spanish and the French. That's what the day in our times and the new way of housing is. That you have choices, different kind of choices. You don't have the same old bland old little yard about this big and you might need some scissors to cut the grass or something, but you don't need a lawnmower. But this, you could choose the size you want. If you want a big one, it's okay. If you want a small one, it's okay. But you get to choose. And I think, like my colleague, Commissioner Corbin said, Vice Chair, he's right. We need more of these type of housing developments, these planned unit development. We need more of them in this community. We need more housing, with the including of the 30,000 jobs and the other jobs that's on its way. We need to house people. We need people so they can live where they work. This is perfect. And that's the high quality project I like seeing. I'm so excited about it, as you could probably tell. But I just think it's incredible. I like it. And I think we changing the way we thinking. And that's how we have to continue to change that way we thinking. It's thinking the new way of the new times of downsizing, but providing a more village atmosphere so people could meet their neighbors, so they could walk and where you don't have to drive your car all the time. You can walk through the neighborhood, say hi to your neighbor, and not be so afraid of them. Like some neighborhoods, you never see your neighbor in maybe one time in 20 years or so. Who knows? I'm doing the extreme, but people get the drift of it that you want it to be a village, and this kind of type of development is what I call a village, and I think we need more of it. Thank you.
No?
I'd like to just state that I live more than 1,000 feet away from this project, just in full disclosure.
Any other commission deliberations? Motion, second.
Move that we accept or adopt Resolution 2023-43. And I'm going to go down to also Resolution 2023-44, and then Resolution 2023-45. Is that okay? You need more? All right.
No, I think that. yes.
I'll second it.
Sorry. We have a motion and a second. All right, the motion does carry. Do you have a staff wrap-up?
The action of the Planning Commission is an appealable action. Anyone wishing to appeal the decision of the commission must do so by filing an appeal with the Community Development Director and pay the applicable filing fee within 10 calendar days.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is other commissioner business, and we have no items at this time. The next item on the agenda is staff comments. Do we have any staff comments?
Yes, I did have one comment. I know that we had reached out to the commissioners with regard to Brown Act training and having that scheduled for next Wednesday, the 18th. However, we are going to actually be rescheduling, I shouldn't say canceling, rescheduling that. We do not have a date as of yet. It came to, we were just recently informed that that will actually be the same evening as the late I'm sorry, oh my.
Wow.
Tom Jarrell, sorry.
I didn't know.
I am so sorry, Daryl. Tom Jarrell.
Okay.
That will be Tom Jarrell's memorial that evening. So I apologize, Daryl. That's all I have tonight.
I thought that was a new way to move commissioners off the board. Just- Right, all right. The next item on the agenda is commissioner comments. Do we have any comments?
I have one.
I do as well.
I'm just gonna make light of this, but I know, Sean, I love you to death. I must be a forest ghost. You see up here. I was just joking, hey. But all kidding aside, I want to say you guys have done a great job as far as making the staff reports. Like I say, where I can understand and I can ask questions, you there available for me and the rest of my colleagues up here. And I think you're doing such an awesome job, and I appreciate you guys. I really, from the bottom of my heart, thank you. Really, thank you.
My question would be this. This is not the first time it's come up. It's also happened to me as well, the predatory towing. I actually, a friend of mine, chief of police actually, when he came over, he couldn't get a pass because the office was closed. So we're getting ready to go somewhere. Said, hey, can I run in, use the restroom? By the time we came out, the tow truck was in the front. And so my question is this. Is there a way to, I don't know what the regulations are or the city ordinance are for us to update those. For instance, like even in Los Angeles, they have to give you a ticket. They give you a ticket, you come back, you don't pay the ticket, or then they'll tow you. There's some type of warning system first to say, another side, you could still see this guy's trying to tow somebody, but one car has 2 or 3 warnings on it. But the other guy just gets towed away. My son got towed. He lived in the apartment, just moved in, and maybe a week later, gone. He had a parking sticker. He just didn't display it. But what I mean by that is there's something that could come across the commission or whatever entity controls that, or could the city develop some type of, I don't know, to say, hey, look, before cars are taken right away, there has to be at least, 2 warnings, something like that. Gosh, in LA, I didn't even mark the tire. Say, yeah, right. Here, this guy just comes in and takes the cars. And I think it's $400, $400 to $600 to come get it back.
So as to not have a meeting or discussion on this matter, given the fact that it's already come up on a couple of other items, what I'd like to do is ultimately look at it from a staff standpoint, and we'll look and see what information, if any, that we have relative to this. The question has been broached at other meetings as well previously, not planning commission, but before the city council, and they. So we'll need to look into it a little bit more, understand what the policy is, what the programs are, and we can look to report that back to you potentially.
Okay. Yeah. Any other commissioner comments? All right. Well, at this time, the commissioner meeting is adjourned. The planning commission meeting is adjourned at exactly 7:14 p.m. to our next regular meeting, October 26, 2023 at 6 p.m.